Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle one of the most basic everyday questions you can ask. What do you do? Simple, right? Well, in German, there's a really fascinating twist to it that we're going to unravel.
So, has this ever happened to you? You ask someone in German what you think is what do you do, and you just get a confused look back. If so, you are definitely not alone. It is a super common trip up for learners, but don't worry, we're going to fix that right now.
All right, let's get right into it. The whole key to this is understanding that German basically splits this question into two completely different ideas. One is for asking about a current activity, like what a person is doing at this very moment. And the other is for their profession, their career.
And here they are, side by side. These are your two main paths. If you ask, was machen Sie, you're asking, what are you doing right now? But if you want to know their job, what you're really looking for is the phrase on the right, was sind Sie von Beruf? Mixing these two up? Yeah, that's almost always the reason for that strange look.
Okay, so let's focus on that first one, the activity question. This is your go-to phrase when you walk in on someone and you're curious about what they're up to at that second.
Now, as you can see here, you've got your formal and your informal versions. The big difference is that pronoun. Sie is for formal situations and du is for more casual ones with people you know. And notice how the verb changes too, from machen to machst. We're going to dig into that Sie versus du distinction a little more in just a moment. So, if someone asks you this, how can you reply? Well, you could be really literal and say something like, Ich lerne Deutsch, I'm learning German. Or, you could give a more general answer about what you do, like, Ich lehre, I teach. Or even state your profession. Ich bin Ingenieur, I am an engineer. Because the question is kind of general, your answer can be too.
Okay, now for the main event. Let's look at the second question. This is the one you use when you want to specifically ask someone about their job or their career.
You see that word in there, Beruf? That is the magic word. It literally means profession. So by adding von Beruf to the question, you make it crystal clear that you're asking about their career. There's no ambiguity here. This is a very specific question, and it's going to get you a very specific answer about their job.
So we've mentioned the formal Sie and the informal du a couple of times. Let's just zoom in on that for a second, because honestly, getting this right is so important if you want to sound polite and natural when you're speaking German.
It's actually pretty straightforward. Think of Sie as your formal, respectful you. You use it with strangers, your boss, older people, or in any kind of professional setting. Du is your casual you, for friends, family, kids, people your own age. And here's the golden rule. If you're ever in doubt, just use Sie. Seriously, it's way better to sound a little too formal than accidentally too casual and maybe even rude.
All right, so you've nailed how to ask the question. But what about when someone asks you? Let's talk about how to answer. Specifically, how to say where you work. Because the little words you use, those prepositions, they actually make a huge difference.
Okay, here's a really simple rule of thumb for you. You'll generally use im when you're talking about the type of building or place, like im Krankenhaus, in the hospital. But when you name the specific company you work for, you almost always use bei. So you'd say, Ich arbeite bei Siemens. That means I work at or for Siemens. It's a really useful one to remember.
If this is still feeling a little fuzzy, don't worry. I've got a perfect little analogy that's going to make it all click into place. Let's think about a baker.
And there it is, it's really that simple. If you ask a baker, was machen Sie, you're asking about the action. The answer is, I'm mixing dough. But if you ask, was sind Sie von Beruf, you're asking about their identity. The answer is, I'm a baker. One is about the doing, the other is about the being.
So let's wrap this up. I want to quickly go over the most important points we've covered. Think of these as the absolute essentials you need to walk away with.
To have a perfect, natural-sounding conversation, just keep these 3 steps in mind. First, always distinguish. Am I asking about an activity or a profession? Second, choose the right level of formality. Sie or du. And third, there's one last little detail for the perfect answer, gender. This is a really key feature of the German language. A lot of job titles actually have both a masculine and a feminine form. For instance, a male teacher is a Lehrer, but a female teacher is a Lehrerin. See that little in on the end? That's super common. It's a small detail, but it shows you really know your stuff.
And there you have it. Now you've got all the tools you need to ask this super common question with total confidence. The next time you get a chance to introduce yourself or meet someone new, you'll know exactly what to say. So go give it a try. Thanks for joining me.